Thank you for joining me today, Tianyi. Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Could you just introduce yourself for the Informs members?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tianyi Peng, a PhD student, a final year PhD student from MIT. I'm actually about to graduate and going to join Columbia Business School next year as assistant professor. I've been a member for Informs for about 3 years.
Okay.
It has been a wonderful journey.
Great. So what are you going to be teaching at Columbia Business School?
Yes, that's a good question.
You don't, they don't tell you?
I'm thinking about teaching, how to use ChatGPT, something else.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you've been an Informs member for about 3 years. So tell us what initially attracted you to this field and when you discovered Informs.
So my path is actually a little bit unusual. I come up from a computer science background when I was an undergraduate, and then I decided to do something for quantum information science. So my first 2 years at MIT is actually about doing research on quantum information and quantum computing. Super cool, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, I sort of decided to, do something more practical and having more sort of real-world applications. So I started to sort of reach out, and then I realized there's a field called OR and MS, and then started to know more about Informs. And I immediately get attracted by the concept of using data-driven decision-making to make the world better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's exactly the thing I want to do. So I started to sort of work on this topic, and fortunately, actually, I got my current advisor, Vivek Farias, to sort of supervise me, and then I sort of start to pursue this path in OR.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you. So do you have any advice for students that are just entering this field?
Yes, that's a great question, actually. So I hope to get that kind of advice when I firstly joined the community. Personally speaking, I will suggest the sort of an important thing for me is kind of the finding a balance between depth and sort of the width. In the sense of for depth, you want to sort of try to find a project where you can sort of focus on and dig into that project so that you will know what is the state of the art, what is the research going on, and get really deep into that, push the boundary of the knowledge of this field. On the other hand, I think it's also good, don't forget to sort of, keep your horizon open. And try to sort of expand your knowledge by sort of learning topics around the thing you're doing and to sort of trying to build your knowledge graph, connecting the dots instead of only focusing on one sort of angle. And by doing that, I think you can sort of learn very fast. At least that's very beneficial for me. So that's kind of the major suggestion I want to provide. In addition to that, again, personal suggestion is doing a little bit more like coding and programming, because I know Informs actually emphasize a lot on the mathematical perspective, but now I feel like actually coding and programming is also important. Try to sort of get involved in some sort of open source projects, I think that's what would be good for the future as a skill and also good for the whole community to make a larger impact.
Good advice, thanks. So how about going even younger? Do you think there's a way that we could help promote these analytics careers to high school students?
I feel like for sort of, promote, analytics, data science to high school students, if I were a high school student, I hope to see cool demos. I hope sort of maybe we can try to show the real value of data science and data analytics in various real applications in a sort of educational and intuitive way. So a few ways of doing this probably are one sort of we can create games, right, to sort of let students play with it and understand why optimization and simulation create real value. And two, maybe I will think about using TikTok and YouTube. I was working at TikTok actually at the internship, as an intern. So I think this kind of using new media to sort of promote the field is a good idea. Another thing is about sort of creating sort of branding competitions, like data science competitions. In the sense of that, I know a lot of students will attend math competitions when they were in high school, and it will help them get into the college. Imagine one day we'll have this Informs data science competition, and every student will actually participate, and every school will recognize it. I think that will also be a good benefit addition to sort of promoting the field.
I like that idea. So you mentioned, and I wanted to ask you about your machine learning research internship with TikTok. What did you do? What did you do there?
Yes, so TikTok is very popular social media now, in particular for young kids. I also use it a lot, and then I sort of want to understand, what's going on for those recommendation algorithms, why it can so quickly catch what I'm interested in. So that's why I reached out to start to do that internship. And then I actually feel quite lucky. Now I sort of really understand what's going on, in the back end, how people are building systems, how they are trying to learn your preference, using, they call it embeddings, which is basically a vector to sort of describing your various dimensions. And using hundreds of numbers, actually, they can precisely describe a person's interest. So I feel grateful for that internship experience. Actually, we keep some collaboration with them.
Yeah.
My different research topics. So I think it's a good experience.
Yeah. Did you build any of those? Any of them?
Yeah, I was trying to sort of make it more addictive.
Yeah. Make it more addictive. It's already pretty addictive.
But it's more about sort of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. So you mentioned 3-year membership with Informs, and you mentioned earlier this is your first business analytics conference.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Informs experience so far in that short time?
Yeah, so I would say I have a lot of good experience so far. One of the best is probably the annuals. 2 years before is like in remote. Now sort of in person sort of experience where you have a lot of chance to do networking and that kind of thing. I think I really like it. You get a chance to sort of understand for the whole field, like what people are doing. Then you sort of know different people and the networking, grab a coffee. That's a very nice part about the experience.
Great.
Yeah.
You did sign up as a mentee for the Informs Mentor Match program. You haven't been matched yet, but just curious why you signed up or what you were hoping to get out of that program.
Yeah, so I think I actually signed up very quickly when I sort of started to doing OR and MS. At that point, right, as a sort of a young, the people sort of firstly getting into the field, I do want to get some advice.
Yeah.
Actually, even now, I still want to get some advice from senior people. Always learn from them.
Yep.
Sort of trying to understand, like what exactly ORMS is. I think that's kind of the question I were having, like in my mind. I'm still actually trying to explore.
I was going to say, how would you answer that?
I don't have a good answer.
You don't?
At this point, but I think largely speaking, it is about sort of, like connecting, like rigorous modeling to real applications and then make a real impact. Along this path, there are a lot of different thoughts, like techniques you can sort of pick up. But that's kind of the whole picture.
Yeah. Thank you. You also had a Wagner Prize-winning project in 2022. Congratulations. So tell us about that project and your experience with the competition.
Yes, I actually feel quite grateful for receiving this prize. It's actually a very exciting project for myself. The bigger picture of like the whole project is the following. So basically, because a lot of companies now are kind of shifting to the data analytics path, right? Which means they have teams to sort of like analyze data and come up with new algorithms. But then a big question come out is like, how should we evaluate those different algorithms, different strategies? Sort of a natural idea is like, let's do some test, right? A/B testing. So this kind of A/B testing is actually quite popular in the tech industry, in the big techs. For example, in TikTok, they are doing like 30,000 A/B tests per year. Inspired by the success of those big techs, now there are many more other companies who want to build their experimentation platforms. So the company we work together called Anheuser-Busch InBev, ABI, the world's largest beer company, they are actually one of the such example. They want to build their also testing platforms. But then the challenges come because for them, doing experiments is much more challenging than the sort of online A/B testing because they are physical stores. So you have to do the experiments in the offline environments. You have to talk to the store managers and to get the experiments done. So this creates, this is actually a very noisy, non-stationary, and the data environment as data is very sparse.
Yeah, it's a lot of work too.
Yeah, and also it's very hard to sort of guarantee a perfect randomness because different people, different stores, they have their own incentives. So you have to design really a robust algorithm to sort of extract signals from such a noisy environment. So that's what we try. Firstly, come up with actually a theoretical algorithm that has very nice theoretical guarantees. And then we sort of try to adopt it and make it practical in the ABI setting. And what comes out of this is actually a new platform we built together with ABI.
Yeah.
And this platform now is sort of changing the decision-making process at ABI because they want to really incorporate this into their decision-making process and try to make it rigorous, evidence-based. That's kind of the journey. I learned a lot through this collaboration, interacting with people in industry, and think of how to sort of bridge the gap, between academic theory and the practical problems. So it's a wonderful experience, and thanks for the community again for sort of their time and dedication.
So Wagner Prize winner, where do you go from there? What's next? You going to do Edelman next year?
Oh, okay. Yes. So next year, I'm actually going to do something even more exciting.
Yeah?
I'm joining my advisor's startup company.
Oh.
We are trying to think of actually something exciting about the GPT. That's why I was mentioning ChatGPT,
right.
because this is really something I feel is kind of changing the world. We are thinking of how to explore this technology to sort of help OR and MS, help operations. So that's what I'm going to explore for next year. I'm not sure where it will lead me to, but I'm looking forward to sort of the adventure.
I'm excited about it. That's all that matters. Yeah. Let's see. So is there any other passion you have outside of ORMS? Because you seem very passionate about.
Yes, so that's actually was the thing I'm passionate about now, is kind of understanding how ChatGPT works. So I'm trying to sort of looking at the different GitHub projects and reading papers in this field. It's actually sort of moving very fast. So usually you read the papers like from last week.
Right.
You know, it's a weekly basis sort of update. But it's getting very exciting. At this moment, I feel like sort of the only limitation is the imagination. So I'm really looking forward to the potential of using this to help decision maker to make better decisions. Because for now, it's still about sort of mostly like the text, natural language processing. But I think the next step is not that far from actually making right decision.
Yeah. What about any hobbies that you have? You're just researching all the time?
And watching TikTok.
I guess that does take up a lot of time because you made it more
sometimes YouTube.
Sometimes you do. Okay. How about reading? Do you like to read? Read any books outside of?
Yeah, so I like to read sci-fis.
Okay.
Actually, there is a book I was reading. It's actually a Chinese sci-fi book called The Three-Body Problem, which is quite popular now actually in China. There is also another sort of a TV series now about this book.
Okay.
I'm also watching it. So it's basically a story about sort of the human civilization encounter another civilization, like the alien civilization. And how they are interacting with each other and how the whole society sort of responds to that. I love that kind of level, stories like that. I found it fascinating and very engaging. I will recommend it to everyone who likes sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it in English? Is it available in English?
I think so. I think so. There's a very decent translation now.
Good.
Yes.
How about if you could have dinner with one famous person from history, who would it be? Or from now?
Yeah, I was actually thinking for a while, but then I actually got the answer. I think the answer is I probably want to have a dinner with Daniel Wagner.
Yeah? How about that? That would be so awesome.
Yeah. Because I read his sort of short bio, and he is also sort of thinking, right? He's kind of the founding, character in sort of in our community, thinking of how to using, like the mathematical modeling, right, to help real world applications. I think we are still in this path, but I'm curious about his thought about, like back then there's no internet, there's no smartphone, there's no GPT, right? Like now, given all the advance we have so far, like what will be his vision, for the future of our world?
That'd be interesting.
That'd be an interesting conversation.
And you could let him know you won his award.
To see whether, he will be happy about this.
Yeah, right. So, I know TikTok and YouTube, but is there anything you like to binge watch? Or do you do Netflix?
Yeah. So that's why I was saying about this sci-fi, because it actually have a TV series.
The show,
Yes.
So that's you read it and then binge the show.
It's very, very interesting, I would say, because I really like that kind of stories and the sort of in the level of symbolization. Although we are kind of tiny, right, as an individual, but if you think of it as the sort of collective level, human civilization is incredible. Did a lot of incredible things, and at a high level, I would like to think of this kind of problems. Like, given all the advancement we have, we are still facing a lot of issues, right? We have this kind of conflicts across nations, across races, across like religions. Like, how to use like the tools we have to help solve those conflicts and create a better world.
Well, GPT is going to fix everything.
Or Informs is going to fix it.
That's what you are here for. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you so much.